Pronunciation Pro.
Pronunciation Pro.
So there's 6 chapters to the book, and I'll be kind of going through each chapter and summarizing, and we'll pull out key points and be talking through it. But one thing I do want you guys to have is a piece of paper and a pencil. And because I am going to be giving you some exercises to do along the way to help you just kind of put into action some of the things that we'll be talking about today. All right. So I think that will be really helpful as we go through. Okay, so let me share, and we'll probably have, I know that Dodzy was going to be coming, and we have a few others that were wanting to be here. So hopefully we'll get them here. But let me just pull up the slides here. All right. Oh, and Chandan's gonna join us here.
Oh,
okay. So with these, with the book club meeting format, just so everybody is aware, I'm okay with you having your, I love having your video on. I'm definitely okay with having your microphone unmuted, as long as you're in a quiet space, just so that we can just kind of have open conversation and dialogue. And this meeting is a good practice for just group discussion. And if you have something to say, kind of being able to speak up without necessarily being called on. Sometimes I just being able to kind of insert some ideas there. I can see kind of some of your videos, but if there's more people that come to that show up here, I won't be able to see everyone from the view that I have and showing my screen. So definitely just kind of insert some ideas and concepts. I'll ask questions, and so just practice kind of speaking up in a group setting. I think this is a good practice for us to do. Okay. All right. So the book that we are reviewing today is The Compound Effect, now by Darren Hardy. Now this is one that I've read a few years back, and the concept just keeps coming back into my life. I feel like there's just this, I call them universal truths. There's just these truths that apply in life, and you see them show up all the time in various parts of life. And so I like being able to see these universal truths come out, because it creates a very kind of a foundational understanding of how to create more success in your life, and how to create good habits, consistent habits that will create really wonderful things, being able to create the things that we want in our life. So we have these ideas of what we want to create in our life, and these are the tools that will help us create that. There we go. That's what I was getting at. All right, so the compound effect. So as we jump into this, here is a quote that I absolutely loved as we got in to this book. It was there at the beginning, and Darren Hardy says, "Knowledge is not power. That's a myth. It is the potential for power, but it is not power itself." Okay. It's not what you learn or what you know. It's what you do with what you know and learn. Okay. So this is a concept that we talk a lot about here at Pronunciation Pro, is the application. It's not just learning something. It's what are we doing with it? How are we applying it? That is really what we're working on here, is the application, the output of this information. So that's why I want you to have a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen, because I am going to have some specific exercises throughout this that I really want you to be writing things down, so that by the time you leave here today, you'll have kind of an actionable, have an actionable plan of what your next step is in accomplishing some of these, you know, a goal or something that we're going to be working on. Okay. All right. Anybody have any kind of any thoughts before we get started with their experience with this book? For those who have kind of read it and been through it.
Hello, Annie. This is Arasu.
Hi, Arasu.
Hi. I'm sorry, I'm in the car, so I'll be mostly listening. In a few minutes, I'll start the car. But yes, I read the book a couple of times, and I have listened to Darren Hardy's Darren Daily programs, and this is a fantastic program. But as you said, the application, we read lots of personal development, self-help books, but applying it is rare and we forget it. So I am with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I'll be bringing in, actually the last book we did was Atomic Habits, and I am going to be kind of weaving in a little bit of the Atomic Habits book into this discussion today, because again, repetition and reminders and things help so much in being able to actually apply these tools in our lives. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the compound effect. So at the very beginning of the book, Darren Hardy talks about the concept of the magic penny. And the magic penny, what he says is like, if you had a choice between getting a single penny that doubles in value each day for 31 days, or $3 million on day one, which one would you choose? Okay. And so when you do the math there, what you find is like on day 20, so you're just getting one penny, a single penny compounded each day. So it takes more time, right, to develop that, that wealth. Day 20, you only have $5,243 still. Not a lot happening, even 20 days into it. At this point, it would seem like the $3 million is looking pretty like a better option, right? But once you get to day 31, what you have is $10,737,418. Okay, that is the power of the compound effect. And it's very tangible when we're looking at it in money here. But what Darren Hardy is really suggesting in this book and emphasizing in this book is that this compound effect happens in all areas of our life. And the things that we do consistently, the small daily habits that we do consistently, both good and bad, are compounding over time. Okay, and that's why as you get older, some of these habits are harder and harder to break because they've been compounding for so long, but not impossible. When you take a little bit more of a long-term view, then you realize, oh, if I want to change something, it's not all at once. It's just that little bit that I have to focus on. Okay, so the compound effect is the principle of reaping huge rewards from a series of small, smart choices. So it's small, smart choices plus consistency plus time equals a radical difference. Okay, and that's the concept we're really going to dive into today and how to apply that and how to make that work in our lives. All right. Oh, and this should at the bottom should say Darren Hardy. So with the Atomic Habits book that we just read last time, I had to bring in this like 1% better concept from that book because there was a lot of overlap between what we were talking about in the Atomic Habits book and the compound effect. So in Atomic Habits, he talks about it's not about changing everything all at once. It's about just doing 1% better. And as you do 1% better every day and just try and get a little bit better every day, the compound effect of that is incredible. Okay, so 1% better every day. So that's the concept we're talking about. I think that the mature, as I get older, or as we get older, we recognize that the quick fixes, the easy solutions, the get rich quick, or all that stuff is nonsense, right? We realize that, like, yeah, Minling is shaking her head. Yeah, that just, it doesn't play out well. Through your experiences, that the things that have the most lasting effect, the most significant impact in your life are those things that you've done consistently over time, and you've worked hard and consistently over time at, and those are the things that are bringing the most rewards in your life. That's the most satisfying. So Minling, as you are shaking your head, what are some examples of things in your life that you're thinking, oh yeah, that's true?
Like he said, that his theory is actually not new. It's really that everybody knows. And after read this, not reading, I just have read 50%. But it reminds me again that both success or failure, they do not come just from one day to the other. It's from really small, even a bad habit as well. So yeah, it's really true.
Yeah. And I think that we want it to be like, when we're younger, we want it to be quick and easy. We want to get there faster, right? But we realize over time that just is never going to create results that we want. So we get wiser and smarter and recognize, okay, it's just the daily small habits. And you have all been doing this so wonderfully in your life. It's why you have the level of success that you do right now. So, you're playing out the compound effect. And what's so great about personal development is there's no end to it. You can always be improving. You can always be leveling up and looking to the next challenge. I know Amadou said that really beautifully in a meeting we had not too long ago, is just that there's always the next level. There's always the next step that we can be really working to achieve. All right, so let's just kind of go chapter by chapter and go through kind of the key points. At the end of each chapter, he has kind of action items, and that's where I was getting most of these key points. But if there's any examples from the book or examples from your daily life that you want to kind of plug in here, definitely speak up and we can talk through those things. But the first concept he talks about, and this is step one in any personal development, is get aware. You just have to start getting awareness of areas to improve. When we're working on pronunciation, so much of it is just training your ears to hear what you haven't been hearing before. It's like, why does my English sound different than a native speaker's? That awareness has to come first, or just even awareness that oh, people aren't understanding me clearly, or awareness that I'm not feeling as confident as I want to be. What do I need to do to improve that? So awareness is always the first step to growth. And noticing, so in awareness, in this book, he talks about noticing the good and bad habits and where they're leading you. Where, let's just take some time to really think through, on a daily basis, what am I doing? What are the small, consistent habits that I'm doing that are compounding, maybe without me even recognizing it, both for good and bad? And let's just kind of bring that awareness. And just like we were saying, there's no instant results. He talks about going back to our grandparents' mentality of a strong work ethic. And that's what I think I love so much about kind of our international community here, is that I find that there is such an incredibly strong work ethic among this group, where you have needed to work so hard and especially, people who have come over to the United States or immigrated, or they're in their own home country, you know, really working to grow and improve and better their lives there. I feel like you guys all get this very well. You understand that mentality of a strong work ethic, and you're practicing that in your life. So you're always such a great example to me of just pushing and striving and working hard so that your kids, you know, the next generation can have more advantages and more opportunities than you probably did. Any thoughts or ideas kind of along this, in this part here? Okay, so we're gonna just go into, this is where the pencil and paper kind of come in. I want you to write down 2 good, consistent habits that you have in your life right now. So this is part of that exercise of just awareness. Okay, let's just look at the good habits, things that you're doing consistently that maybe you've done for many years. 2 consistent habits that you have in your life that you feel like have created this compound effect for you in some way. Does anybody want to share one of them?
Sure. First one.
Okay, go ahead, Amadou.
First one, listening to English every day, radio, TV show, movies, and reading,
Okay.
like Atomic Habits, Compound Effects, a lot of books, and also magazine, article, things like that.
Excellent. And that's something that you do consistently every single day.
Yeah, sure. And
Yeah.
I improve my comprehension and also my more aware of what I'm reading, because I used to struggle like listening and reading English. Now I feel comfortable, and I so comfortable doing that I do it naturally.
Yeah. So how long do you feel like you've been doing that? How long do you think you've been doing that?
For something like 6 years. Yes.
6 years?
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, that is the compound effect right there. Yep. And it's interesting because there's kind of that concept of like 6 years from now. So you think, okay, when you're just starting, you're like, oh, 6 years, man, that's a long time. 6 years is going to pass whether you do something, establish a good habit during this time and next anyway. So it's a matter of deciding, what do I want to happen between now and 6 years from now to create that results? Because 6 years from now is going to happen, whether we do something with it or not. Okay, good. And then the compound effect of that is the comprehension, the fluency, the ability to speak and listen and understand, and that building of language. That's wonderful. Does anybody else want to share theirs?
This
Yes,
is Arafi again. I'm sorry. Please go ahead. I'll follow.
Okay. Hi. Regarding me, like as we mentioned in the Atomic Habit when we discussed that time, so my passion with food, I continue like every week or every month. I read something, I watch YouTube regarding the food, because I love working in that field. Then later on, I get the result when I open a restaurant, and was successful restaurant. This is the first thing I like. This was something from my passion. I did something great. Second things with the gym and like fitness, and like I start slowly. I made that habit start like with a few minutes, and I used to do it when I wake up. I wake up with the dawn, then I go directly to the gym. So that's after a few weeks, it's become as a habit. Before, when I started, it was very hard for me to wake up and go to the gym because something I don't used to it.
Yeah.
Then later on, now it's become habit. So whenever I wake up, oh, that's fine, let's go to the gym, for example. So at least I do it 3 days, 2 days, 3 days a week. Also, regarding the food, at the same time, I started to reduce my food, as I mentioned in Atomic Habits. So we start with something measurable. Like I choose one item, which is I should reduce because it has a lot of carbohydrates. To reduce it, and instead of carbohydrate, I get protein, which is I need more. There, so I choose one item. I took it out from my meal completely. Then later on, I choose another item. Then I reduce some of the items that eventually, with the time, within 2 years, now I assume that I'm eating a healthy food.
Yeah, that's a great example of that 1%. 1% better, changing that little small consistent habit. Excellent. I love that. Great examples of these consistent habits. So if you think of it, I wanted you to guys kind of start with what you're already doing to recognize, oh, I'm doing this already in my life. What's just the next thing that we can kind of dive into? And so as we go through, we'll now be thinking, okay, what's next for me? You know, in each of you, you'll be like, what's next for me in my personal development that of habits that I can start now that 5 years, 10 years from now will create this compound effect for you. Okay, good. Okay, and you know, he talks about here at the beginning of the book, the ripple effect, and the ripple effect being that, you know, you change one habit and it kind of leads to another, you know, change or to establish one good habit and it leads to another. In Atomic Habits, they referred to us as habit stacking, where it just kind of leads, you know, good habits lead to other good habits. Have you guys seen this ripple effect in your life? I think Zaid probably with the exercise and the eating, it probably helped each other, right? If you're exercising and you're doing the eating, you know, it probably either helped with the eating or vice versa.
Yeah, you're right. 100%. This is what actually happened with me.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, like day by day, my plan is getting bigger. Like, for example, at the beginning, I reduced almost 17 kg. When I started, I'm planning just to reduce my weight to get fit. Then later on, my plan is getting bigger. So now, for example, I'm checking nutrition facts with each meal. Yeah, so now I'm taking care more about the healthy food and other stuff. So when you have a plan and you start slowly, you get habit for something, your plan is gonna grow up. So you're gonna see what's the next. What should I do better than what I'm doing now?
Yes. Yeah, it's contagious, isn't it? You catch that, ooh, this is working. What else can I do along with that? So with the ripple effect, I really want you to kind of be thinking of in your English development too. And, you know, with pronunciation, we talk about kind of that 2-minute rule of reading out loud every day for 2 minutes. It's just such a small, it's like one little drop, you know, one little drop in the water here. And the ripple effect of that can be, you know, so huge over time of just 2 minutes of reading out loud, focusing on slowing down, moving your mouth, speaking up. And then then from there, it's like, oh, I can do a little bit more, or I can do a little bit more, or I can do a little bit more of that English development. Or today, that's fine. But, day by day, you might expand that more and more. Okay, chapter 2 kind of goes into choices. So he talks about practicing gratitude, and he had a little example about, I think it was a friend of his that he decided to write in a journal to his wife every day for a year. He would write down all of the things that he was grateful for in his wife. Okay. So he wanted to improve his relationship with his wife. And so he wrote down things that he was grateful for. And at the end of the year, he gave it to his wife as a gift. And she's, of course, was like, this is the greatest gift that's been, she's received. But what it did for him was it helped him train his mind to focus on all the good that she was doing and all the good that was brought into, that she was bringing into his life. And so it totally changed the way he saw her in the way that he was focusing on that good.
I think the positivities lead to positivities.
Mm-hmm.
Really, if you think positive or if you do these things, it just becomes, you just see this world, or just you feel grateful.
Yes.
It's a really amazing gift.
Yes. Yeah. And I've been noticing that too, of just like the way that we view the world is like, there is so much good happening in the world. The news likes to focus on all the bad things that are happening, but if we really train our mind to be like, look at this amazing technology that's happening, or look at this amazing, growth and development. Look at these kids that are doing amazing things. We focus on the kids that are maybe doing not so good at things, but it's like, there also are a lot of kids who are really stepping up and doing great things. And so it's all in what we're focusing on, and we're choosing, he talks about choice, choosing to see. So I think that was a really, really interesting to kind of put that in there. Okay, here is a concept that he really emphasizes, is that you are 100% responsible. So in the Pronunciation Pro course, we have the Confident Pro Mindset trainings that are course in there. And this is a big one that I focus on through that training too, is being 100% responsible, because that is how we get our personal power back. That's when we move away from blame and victim and excuses, and we take full responsibility for ourselves and our actions and our life and our results. That's when the power comes. So I loved these quotes from Darren Hardy in this book. He says, if you threw out the rest of this book and only practice this one concept, within 2 to 3 years, the changes in your life would be so great, your friends and family would have difficulty remembering the old you. Okay. Just simply taking full responsibility and starting to get awareness of where we fall into victim, blame, and excuses of why we're not getting the results that we want, or why bad things are happening in our life or to us, bad things are happening to us. When we can really kind of drop into that full responsibility, that's the power. He has one other quote that says, if I always took 100% responsibility for everything I experienced, completely owning all of my choices and all the ways I responded to whatever happened to me, I held the power. Okay. These are these universal truths that I keep stumbling upon. And it's this 100% responsibility that I keep I keep seeing over and over again in all of these books, is that when we take responsibility, it really does bring that power back in our lives. So, like he says, if there's just one thing to even take from this book, if we want an action item right now, is just getting awareness of where we're kind of falling into like not taking responsibility, and working to just improve 1% better each day at taking more responsibility for ourselves. Does anybody have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is actually great advice he gave me. It's really he's right when he's saying that through everything, just stuck with this, because like usually a lot of problem happens in our work and even in the home. Like for example, I'm responsible about my family, my kids, everybody in the. I'm not gonna say, oh, my wife should take care. I'm not gonna take care. I have to take 100% care about my family, also about my business. So that actually inspired me. Even I told my brother who has a business and he's blaming his partnership partner. So he's saying that he's not taking care. I told him you are responsible 100%. I told him this. That's the right. That even my employee, when they are here, 2-3 guys, they're working in a restaurant. So I'm telling every one of you responsible 100%. Don't tell me, oh, that guy, he did this mistake. This guy, he did that. No, it actually, you have to take care. And even that guy, you have to advise him. This is wrong. That's you have to consider everything. That's you are responsible 100%. So
excellent.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a powerful, powerful one. Absolutely. All right, good. Okay, so we'll keep going. So in this chapter, he also talks about tracking and starting just with one behavior. Just it's part of that getting aware. But when we start tracking and just kind of start really noticing specifically how our behaviors, you know, what behaviors we're doing on a daily basis and how those are happening consistently, then that awareness is going to bring us to being able to take action to do something about it. Okay. Okay, so here's the next exercise. Write down one good small habit you want in your life. So this is a new habit, or maybe building off of a habit you're already doing, but wanting to take it to the next step. Okay, so write down one good small habit that you want in your life. And, you know, of course, we're talking about English development, so it could be connected to pronunciation, English training, you know, how you're going to improve in that area. Or if you're like, no, I'm already kind of moving along on that, I want to focus on something else, definitely do that too. But one good small habit that you want in your life and you don't have yet. Because as we move forward, we're going to kind of then take that habit and, you know, that goal or that habit, and we're going to break it down a little bit more today. Okay. Does everybody have something in mind?
Yes, I have.
Exercise.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Oh.
Min Ling? Yeah, go ahead.
I really have difficulty to continue or to say, what is it, resistance? Or
Yeah.
persist. Just to continue doing one thing all the time.
Yeah, so persistent and consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency.
Yeah, it's really very, especially the exercise.
Okay, yeah.
Like in Germany, if it becomes cold, I have the reason or excuse that, oh, I don't want to go out and it's too cold. And so, and this is, I must do this. And I wanted to keep it exercising too.
Okay, good.
Become a habit.
Okay, good. So as we go through, we're kind of coming up with a game plan. We're going to come up with a plan of how that's going to play out. Okay, good. Amadou, did you say you had something to share?
Yeah, I wanted to start something new, one good habit, but I don't know actually where to start. But I think it's a very good exercise for me. I want to make like a YouTube video, but before doing that, like to have the habit of writing a script. You know, before like creating a video, you have a script. So I want to have like the habit of like doing the first thing before doing the second one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like having a bunch of scripts, like having the habit of writing like one script every 2 days or something like that. Yeah. And then having the habit for editing the video and then publish it like once a week or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a big project of wanting to create YouTube videos. And so it's a matter of like then bringing that down of just like, what is then the first step or first habit that we can put in place that will ultimately lead to the compound effect of a YouTube channel. So it becomes like, okay, if writing scripts is the first step to that habit, then you kind of bring it down to like, okay, every day from this time to this time, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write, and I'm just going to start simple. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm just going to write something that's kind of on my mind or that I think needs to happen. Or is it a matter of, I'm going to create an outline of a series of videos and just have the topic for each video, so you can kind of break it down in a variety of ways. But the thing with those big goals, you kind of see the long term, oh, that's where I want to be. It has to kind of then be broken down into actionable daily, simple habits that can be done every day. So I'll let you kind of like spin on that, Amadou, of what that would look like for you in this big goal. But I think that's a great exercise for you to kind of mental exercise to be going through today for that goal.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfectly understand what I was saying.
Yeah, great. Okay, chapter 3 kind of goes into habits, and he talks about really coming from a place of identifying your core motivation and your values. Why are you wanting to, do the YouTube channel? Find your why power is what he talks about. Who will you become by establishing this habit? How will it enhance your life? This week it was interesting because there's some certain things that I want to do, on social media and kind of doing more posting and things, and was having a little bit hard time kind of with the motivation behind it. And because of all these books that we've read, that have talked about the why, the power of the why, I immediately was like, oh, I don't have a strong enough why. If I have a strong enough why in my head and it's clear to me, it's going to be a lot easier for me to jump in and take action on this habit or this, this action item in establishing these more social media posts. And so then I took it back to like, okay, I need to schedule some time to really create my clear why. Why am I doing this? What are we working towards? What is the goal here? It's very, very empowering to really have that strong why. So I want you to write down why you want to start your new habit. So you have your habit there of what you're wanting to do. Why do you want to start that habit? Does anybody want to share the why they have attached? Maybe someone, I don't know how many of you are in a position to be able to talk. I know, Horacio, you said you were driving, and I actually can't see everybody that's in here. Let me kind of pull up the list here of who's all here. Okay, we've got a lot of people. So for those who we haven't heard from yet, so I'm seeing Titus, and Oscar said that he was just going to be listening, but Marta and Dragos, Chondan, yeah, any of you have thoughts or ideas to add, definitely, we'd love to hear from you. Don't wait for me to call on you, just kind of jump in. But any of you who we haven't heard from yet, do you want to share kind of your why, and maybe kind of give us some context of goal, but why you want to do that goal? And maybe everyone's on listen only mode. Who knows?
Yes, Annie. So
here,
for me,
hold on, Zaid. Let me get kind of a Horacio
yes.
speaking here real quick, because I know that he just unmuted. So Horacio,
yeah,
did you have something?
Yeah, hi, Annie and others. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, in about 10 minutes I'll be home. I'll talk. But again, the why power you mentioned, before going into any details of the why power that I can think of, the only thing is I have realized in some instances the why power, for whatever reason, just motivates more to do some of the things which normally I would not want to do. For example, yoga stretches or walking or even diet. But when I think about it, hey, time has been flying, and when is this weight is going to go? So that kind of a motivation kind of prompts me to bear with that uncomfortable thing, like avoiding a delicious carbohydrate-rich food, or watch a movie instead of doing a yoga. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. When it gets hard, it's the why that really keeps you moving through the hard and continuing to do the hard so that you can get that result, that bigger result that you're looking for. Yeah, absolutely. That is why the why is so important. Yeah,
Why
excellent.
for me, it's just only knowledge, and it's that power.
Oh, okay. So explain more. So the why kind of feels just more like knowledge and not.
Yeah, not the power, not the power, like the first page. For me, why is, of course, I know this. For example, to exercise is healthy, or I will become healthier, but it's not the power to motivate me to do something. It's not enough.
Okay, so let's get down to like, what would be the power for you that would motivate you enough to do the hard thing that's required to exercise consistently? Is there?
I don't know, to have a company, but it's again, if I would like to have company to do exercise, I just shift this responsibility to other people,
Oh, okay.
I do not have that responsibility anymore.
Well, it's interesting because I think there can be layers to it, because my why of exercising is, I want to be fit and healthy, but I like going to a gym where I see people, and it's a social thing for me, and I can enjoy, and I can build relationships there. And so part of exercising consistently for me is finding a place to work, to exercise that I really enjoy being at, that I enjoy the people, and I enjoy, so having someone to exercise with could really strengthen that ability to be consistent with it. And you're right. It does then depend on that other person showing up too, which is hard. But that is something to explore, because if that is part of what would motivate you to do it consistently, then that is a piece that needs to be in place for you. That's a good point. All right, good. Here, so I'm going to bring it back to the Atomic Habits. So how to change bad habits. We're going to talk about how to change bad habits and how to establish good habits. So in review of just what we did in the last book with Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about, make it specific, make it unattractive to do the bad habit, make it hard, put a barrier in the way, and make it unsatisfying. Okay, so those were some of the ideas that James Clear had. Here's what Darren Hardy's suggesting. How to change a bad habit: identify your triggers. What's keeping you from going to the gym? What's keeping you from practicing your pronunciation? Is it, identifying triggers? What am I doing instead of going to the gym and practicing my English? Maybe I'm watching TV too much. What is it that is kind of stealing that time away from you? What are those triggers that are getting you to do that thing that you don't necessarily want to do, but you just do because it's easy, versus doing what you really want to be doing that's a little bit harder? Okay, so identifying those triggers that get you to that bad habit. Clean house. It's like, if there are cookies and chips and all these unhealthy things in your house, clean it out, get rid of that stuff so that there's a barrier between you and those delicious cookies, right? get your environment cleaned out in a way that will help you lead to better habits. He says swap it. So say we have like a soda addiction and you love drinking soda, swap it out for like a sparkling water. You like the combination, but you're not ready to completely get rid of the soda. It's like, how can we swap it for something that maybe, almost as satisfying, but can be a replacement for it. Okay. The other one is ease in. So he says their suggestion, some people like to ease in, just do a little bit at a time. Like Zaid was talking about with his, with eating, he just kind of did little bit. And sometimes it's jump in, completely quit something. I personally feel like easing in is way more effective for me, but I know that some people, it's like, I just have to completely drop soda and get it completely out of my life. And that's how I'm going to do it. Or, does anybody have any other examples of how they've broken bad habits through this? So through any of these strategies?
Playing video games. So,
okay.
Yes. For example, when I play video game, I was like, okay, I'm going to play like 10, 30 minutes, and I end up playing for hours. So okay. What I do is I kind of put away the PlayStation 4 or something. And what I want to play with this, I have to do other tasks before, because I have
okay.
To do. And
do the chores at first.
Yeah, sure. And playing video games is at the end of my my to-do list.
Yeah.
So if I want to play video game, I have to do a lot of effort, And sometimes when I don't feel like I haven't been productive, so it's easy for me to not play video games.
Okay, good. And in Atomic Habits, there we go. That they're talking about using that as a reward, like having a reward system in place. So that's a great idea.
But I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I would like to know the result. Do you really, let me say, play less, or you will finish the chores really, really fast in order to play?
I play less.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yes. And I have so. And the reason why it's easy for me to give up on playing video games is I get results because I give up, because sometimes I think that when you want to achieve goals, you have to give up on something. So by giving up, playing less video game, I gain speaking English, reading, and this motivates me to not play anymore.
Yeah, because the reward for doing something challenging is going to be a lot higher. It takes longer, but the reward is going to be greater. And so that feeling of satisfaction, that feeling of confidence, of achieving that is going to be wonderful. And that's a great motivator to then lead to the next thing that you want to do. So
exactly. And the hour that I spend it playing video games, I use these hours watching TV shows and movies in English, So
yes.
I kind of switch. I enjoy more watching movies and TV shows in English without subtitle than playing video games.
So there was an example in the book that he used of a client that he was working with who was a high-level executive, very successful, really, his day was very, very scheduled out. And so this executive was just saying how he wanted to, he wanted to push to the next level for him. And so Darren Hardy was kind of basically taking an inventory, really tracking his day. And he realized there was 3 hours within his day that he was consuming news. So there was his commute to work. There was a certain amount of time in between meetings that he was reading all these news articles. There was the commute home, 3 hours. And you think of it like a busy executive, you think there's not 3 hours that, like that's a good chunk of time. You think of 3 hours in a row, but it was because it was, an hour here, an hour, a bit here, a bit here, a bit here, but added up, it was 3 hours. And so what he realized is just taking that one habit and reducing it. He's like, he still got his news, but we did it in a more efficient way where it was 30 minutes a day. Then it opened up 2.5 hours for him to then insert things that he really wanted to do to achieve his next goals. So that's the advantage of tracking, is getting very aware of what are the things that you're doing in between, or where's those time chunks that you might be kind of zoning out or doing things that you don't necessarily want to be doing, but they're just easy and that are consuming a lot of your time. Okay, how to create good habits. So this is just a review of the James Clear Atomic Habits, but make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. So we're just talking about creating a reward system for, if I do this habit, then I get this reward. Not if I eat healthy, I get then dessert. No, that doesn't work. You have to set it up where it's a reward that's going to help you with your goal. Okay, so now then Darren Hardy, and I'm going to mention this on the website, on the Pronunciation Pro website, we're plugging in all of the past book club meetings that we've done with the slides that go with them. So these slides will all be downloadable. When we post this recording of the video, I'll also put a downloadable PDF of all the slides so that you can have this for reference. Okay. How to create good habits. So he says, set yourself up for success, kind of like make it easy. So think addition, not subtraction. So how can we add good habits instead of no, don't do that, that bad habit. No, don't play video games. It's like, how do we add a good thing to it to replace that habit we want to replace? Go for a PDA, public display of accountability. So telling people that you're doing this habit, or finding a success buddy, someone that you can you kind of have accountability with. Competition and camaraderie. So having people to do it with, that's really an important part of just our humanity, is we are communal creatures, doing things with other people, having other people to help motivate us and inspire us and push us and things like that. It's not until, what's that example of the 4-minute mile? There was someone had it seemed like a 4-minute mile was totally impossible until somebody broke the 4-minute mile. And then after that, there were several people that then was like, oh, now that I know it's doable, I'm going to do the same. So you see that competition and seeing other people accomplish the goals that you're wanting to accomplish helps motivate you to do the same. Okay. And then celebrate, make it satisfying, have a reward, celebrate the accomplishment. Okay, so I want you to, here's the exercise, going back to that habit that you want to create, write down the first step to starting your new habit. What's the first step? And so like we're talking about, we take for a big goal and we're going to break it down to what would be the first habit? So Min Ling, just thinking of exercise, it would be like, what do I have to do some research to figure out what people I'd want to exercise with, or what gym or what setting? Is there some research that needs to be done? Or thinking through, first step in starting your new habit is identifying what is it that I enjoy doing for exercise that I would do consistently. Do I need to sign up for a class for something that I enjoy doing that will help me exercise? Will I yeah, you just kind of have to explore a little bit of that. So maybe step one is just doing a little bit of research and thought work as to like what that would be that would hit some areas that would be helpful for you, you know, that motivates you to do it consistently. Okay. First step to, you know, say your habit or your goal is to improve your English, and you want to establish a habit of you know, doing your pronunciation pro videos. What is the first step to starting that new habit? Is it going to your calendar and establishing a time that you can dedicate to that? It's thinking through your day and saying, okay, what can I replace? Maybe I'm doing this certain thing in the evenings or in the mornings that I want to replace with reading out loud every day, or watching a video, a training video, or doing specific practice. What is that first step to your new habit? So go ahead and write that down. I think the big key here is to make it small and manageable. So like, you know, the compound effect is small daily habits, you know, just really small things that you can, that are very manageable, very easy to do, that we can start doing consistently. Okay, so chapter 4 goes into momentum. I think this is a great concept for us to really understand about why it's so hard to get going on new habits, but once we're in that flow, how much easier it gets. So anything that you're doing is hard until it's not, right? It's like at first everything's hard, but you think now of things that are easy for you. At one point, they were probably hard to do. And so we kind of have to get that perspective with these new habits, is that eventually they'll be easier. I just have to do it consistently until it gets easier. So momentum, he talks about bookend your days. So he talks really a lot about the importance of morning routines and bedtime routines. Do you guys have I have a really strong morning routine. I don't have a very strong bedtime routine, but I have a really strong morning routine that really sets my day up strong. And I feel it when I don't do that morning routine. But does anybody have kind of either a really strong morning routine or bedtime routine that they kind of want to share and share what the effects of that have been in their life?
I have, yes.
Okay,
Again,
share a little bit.
knows. Yep. Listen to BBC, like the British radio, and listen to like the NPR in the evening. By doing that, when I was starting learning English, I didn't understand English speakers when they spoke to me. By having this habit of listening to like a proper British English and proper American English, I was able to understand and figure out the accent, you know. So it was really easy for me to understand like the accent. So I can easily tell a British accent, a Scottish accent, or something like that, because I was so used to using to listening to the radio, the intonation, I think like that. It's easy for me to tell that. So this is a morning routine that I keep having now.
Okay, so write down in the chat box kind of those resources, because NPR, yeah, that is a good like American based
National Public Radio.
Yeah, national. What does it stand for? National
Public Radio.
Public Radio. Yeah, National Public Radio, NPR.
So it's an app.
So how do you access it, Amadou?
I can. I have like with the iPhone, you can download the app, but you can also go to the website and listening to the radio live, and you can get the podcast as well. There are some great program about habits, depending of what kind of what you're interested in. You can like, if you're into technology, parenting, or things like that, you have a lot of resources, a lot of podcasts with the transcript as well. So it's a powerful resource. Yep.
Good. Okay, good. Thank you for sharing that. That's excellent.
You're welcome.
So yeah, that is a really good example of just a small habit worked into a morning routine or a bedtime routine that done consistently over time creates strong results. Okay, so practice consistency. He talks about momentum. There's so much power in that practicing consistency. And I like this phrase, practice consistency, because sometimes we think, oh, I'm not good at being consistent, or I'm, and so it's kind of an all or nothing kind of mentality. But when we say we're practicing consistency, it means that we can do a little bit better, like 1% better, 1% better, 1% better. And over time, we can get better at being consistent. Does that make sense? So, so yeah, that practice consistency. It's just having the awareness to be like, oh, I want to be more consistent in some of these things. I'm not going to be 100% consistent in it, and that's okay. I'm just going to try and get a little bit better week by week. Okay. Much more manageable for our brains, much easier to kind of then ease in to those habits. All right. And then he also talks about, harnessing Big Mo. So he talks a lot about Big Mo in the book, momentum. Big Mo meaning momentum. And so think about it as a train, a train getting started, though it takes a lot of energy to get that train moving at first. But once it's going, it's really hard to stop that momentum. It's really hard to stop that train. Okay. So think of your habits in the same way, of just like knowing that it's going to be hard at first, but that is not always going to be the case. Getting to the gym is going to be hard at first, or getting that exercise in is going to be hard at first. But once we find something that really is enjoyable and fun, and, I have this social piece to it, I have my friends there that are waiting for me, or I have this activity that I like doing, it's going to be easy to show up. It's just going to be part of my routine, and it won't always be hard. I think that helps us get through the harder, initial stage. If we can have that mentality. Same with our pronunciation. It's like, okay, it's going to be hard to retrain these mouth movements at first, and it's going to feel so uncomfortable and everything, but it's not always going to be hard. Eventually, that movement is going to get easier and easier and more natural, and I'm not even going to have to think about it eventually. Anything that we're trying to change at first is going to be hard. And I like the description they had of the water well. A pump and a water well, it takes a lot of pumping at first before the water will start flowing, right? But once the water's flowing, it's, it doesn't take a lot of effort to keep that pump going. But once you stop the pump, you kind of have to start over again, right? And I'm feeling that in my life. There's been habits that I've had in the past that I've gotten really good momentum at, and then something happened where I stopped that habit, and there was a time there
from zero again.
Yes, and now I'm starting over again. Yeah, and so it's like, oh, this is motivating to me to not stop habits. But just knowing for myself that, like, okay, it is going to be hard at first, but I'll get back into that rhythm and it'll be fine. Okay. Any thoughts on this? Anything that's coming up for you guys around Big Mo?
That's a very good point.
Ahead,
I think that's really a great point what you're making. Again, some of these analogies, the penny versus the millionaire, they all have their limitation to some extent. But I can see our newly establishing habits can be derailed by some event or something bad happen, and so a few days you can't do anything about it. So coming back, you can anticipate it's going to be tough. So, but if you keep it in the back of your mind, or a family event, or a sudden surprise parties, so on and so forth. But if you keep it at the back of your mind and try to do a very little, at least, you know, they say that the pumping water, you just have a little force and keep an eye on it. Hopefully we can avoid getting completely disconnected and starting all over again. But again, these analogies have their own little bit limitations in my view.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's one of those things that you don't want to, if, you know, say you slip off of a habit for a little while,
right.
It's like, it's okay to just jump back in. I mean, nothing, it's not going to kill that momentum completely, you know, to have a few days that go by, or even a couple of weeks or whatever. We don't want it to discourage us from getting back into it, thinking it's going to be so much harder to get back into it. There's still a lot that was built up from, you know, from the habit that you were doing before that is going to continue on from there. So absolutely, good point. Yeah, I just liked this, that, hello, my name is consistency. I make it happen day in and day out. You might know my friend Success. We're always hanging out.
Great.
Okay, so on that line, what you were talking about, Rasu, is write down one obstacle that might happen in creating your new habit. So as you're thinking about this new habit that you want to establish here, let's get aware of what obstacles come up and anticipate those and create a plan for that. How do you want to handle it if it's like, oh, I get sick or something comes up and I'm not able to do the habit for a few days or a couple of weeks? How do I want to respond to that? Do I want to just kind of throw it out and be like, oh, never mind, it was, you know, it's not possible for me? Or do we want to have the mentality of like, oh, this is life. This is just how it goes. This is the flow, ebb and flow of life. And I'll just jump back in.
I think while jumping back again, the key thing is starting small. Actually, I have a accountability partner, and it would be better to have, even for our pronunciation pro clubs here, some established members or whatever to reconnect and accountability. How are you doing this once a week or once in 2 weeks? But the point is very emphasized by one of my accountability partner is that, let's say, for example, I'm cleaning my office and organizing my books. It's a mess here. And so usually, as you just now said, what stops me is, hey, I have to at least spend 30, 40 minutes or 1 hour. I don't have the time. But the accountability partner would say, just take one book and put it somewhere. And that will give you a satisfaction. Hey, you did something. And the journaling habit, which I am now started, it's very easy for me to watch some TV and then go to bed. Now it's initially it is hard to write down you call the cashing out, what happened the day and what will happen.
Yeah.
So forming a new habit or getting back after jumping out, if we keep it in mind, it's a small thing. That the small I can emphasize enough. 5 minutes doing or one book doing, that will help.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Make it easy. There was someone else who was kind of jumping in there. Who was it that?
For me, time always the obstacle. There is no time to do a lot of things I would like to do it. So I'm not sure how we.
So Zaid, I'm going to throw this back into you. If you were 100% responsible for every minute of your day, how would you respond to that? Of just like the time, there's not enough time.
Yeah.
What would 100% responsible mentality look like? How would you change? There's not enough time to. How can I make the time? Or what do I need to do to make the time?
Yeah.
Right.
Like actually, it's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
but
that's
time, I mean, that
long
if we're
ago.
identifying obstacles, time is an obstacle, right? And so there's an obstacle there, but there is a way to move that obstacle. There is a way to get past that obstacle. We have to keep that mentality of there is going to be obstacles, and what do I do to remove that obstacle or adjust to that obstacle when it comes? What am I going to do? So what, Zaid, what would you say to that then?
Yes.
So time is the obstacle, then what? And here's the next question. Write down one strategy you'll use to overcome that obstacle.
Yeah, so I have maybe to review all my work every day to see how can I save my time to the things I would like to do it, or to the habit I would like to make it something. Maybe I need to review all my agenda or whatever I'm doing every day and see how I organize my time to be enough for.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That is that's a great mental shift to kind of, I can't to I will, here's what I'm going to do. And it creates that personal power. It takes that power back. Very nice. Okay, good. Okay, so chapter 5, it goes into influences. Get aware of the influences in your life. And, in the Confident Pro Mindset course, we talk about your mental diet, getting aware of what's coming into your life and what influences you have. Are they leading you towards good habits or away from good habits or towards bad habits? Okay, people, media, what you spend your time and energy in. And then add or subtract these influences. If you, again, tracking, it's like, ooh, that's actually not doing so good for me. Like this, person I'm following on social media or even social media in general, it's like, I'm being heavily influenced by this. Maybe I'm not as grateful for my life because of some of these influences that are in my life or that are coming through on social media or through the media through other media sources. How can I add things that are making me more grateful and seeing things more positively, and reshaping those influences? Find a performance partner. So we've kind of talked a little bit more about like finding someone who can help with that accountability. And then find a mentor. And he suggests finding a mentor for each goal or area that you want to improve. So if it's an English mentor, someone that's helping you with your English, someone who's helping you with your career, your specific industry, someone who's helping you with exercise or with, that strategy or that goal that you have. Finding people that are positive influences and mentors. I'm very passionate about mentors and having people in your life who are a few steps ahead of you, that are, that have been down the road and can tell you, hey, here's what to watch out for. Here are the things that are going to be a struggle through this path. And I've taken this path, I know this path, and here's how, I can help you navigate it better than I did, I want you to write down one mentor you've had in your life. So kind of think through someone that you've had in your life, a mentor, and how that, and maybe you can give some time a little bit later of how that mentor helped you, or you can share with us right now. Write down one mentor you've had in your life and taking some time to think how that mentor really helped you, I think will help you then identify what kind of mentors you want moving forward. Does anybody have an example of a mentor that that you've had?
I'm sorry, I think I'm talking too much, but I'll say this and then call on me. I want others to participate. Yes, I had mentors, and without them, I'm from a village in India, South India, to be here in the United States and professor in a university. It's impossible. So how did I use it? I think, like you said, people who care for you and who are confident, who are ahead and with experience, even just a mere chatting with them gives you confidence and clarity. But I think Harvey Mackay, the envelope company guy, said even at his late stage, he had like several mentors, several coaches, like 20 coaches or something. So I was personally benefited, but there is still, people can establish, I think still for normally in a general population, the mentoring, the coaching, they're all as essential as teaching, like in a school or college or university. But these things are left to private systems. And so it's tremendously important as a formal schooling and college education. But I don't think it's really the importance has reached the population in general. Still it stays very small group of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And mentors, mentors can be people that you personally know or you've interacted with. In the book, he also talks about mentors can be authors. They can be podcasters. They can be people that you don't know personally, but are influencing your life and guiding you in a way that is helping you down that road. So I think there's a lot of pressure. Sometimes you're like, I don't know people in these areas, or I don't know anyone right now. How do I establish a mentor that will take time from their life to do that? It's like, well, there's a lot of mentors out there that are writing books and doing podcasts, and people who are spending time teaching. Hopefully I'm a mentor of yours in the English pronunciation and fluency, and that, you kind of consider me a mentor in guiding you down this path of strengthening your spoken English. I'm here for you to support you in this journey that you're taking right now. So that's one person that you can kind of say, she's on my team, she's on my personal development team and leading you along. So I want you to write down one mentor you want to have in your life, or even just saying this area of my life is where I need a mentor. And then what will you do to reach out to that mentor? Is it just, downloading their podcast, or is it signing up for a class, or is it, what is it in that area, with that habit, with that goal, and an area in your life you're trying to push it to the next level. You're trying to get to that next level. How can you reach out to someone in a way that will help establish that person as a mentor for you? All right, good. With some of these exercises that we're going through, I hope there's now, like on, your piece of paper, there a little bit more of a plan of how to kind of take these items and put it to action. These things that we're learning and put into action. Chapter 6, acceleration. So this is the final chapter he talks about. And I thought it was interesting because at first I was like, oh, these are like these mega achievers that are just like, go big, do extra, do all this big, big stuff. And I was a little bit like, I don't know. I like the mentality of just small, simple wins and things. And he's kind of getting a little bit too extreme for me at this point. But the concept that I did like at this point in the book was when he talks about going past the wall. It's like you've pushed yourself to what you seem to feel like is your limit. If you go beyond that, there's even greater results that come from that. Does that make sense? So if you,
What's the difference between this and the momentum he talks about? I think the 3rd chapter or something. So between the momentum and acceleration, as you understand.
Yeah, good question. It's interesting because he brings a lot of examples of physically doing that, where it's like, on a marathon runner where you go, you're just running, it's consistency, you've got momentum, you're just running, and then your body just kind of tends to give out and you're just like, I cannot go a step further. But then digging deep at that point and saying, no, but I will keep going. And the advantage you have if you're willing to go past that point where most people give up, that's where, you really kind of set yourself apart from the crowd. And so I understand what he's talking about here in terms of that is just the times that I'm like, I cannot do this any longer, or I feel like I want to quit. It's those times to kind of remember this, be like, but most people are going to quit at this point. Am I going to be one that is going to push through and keep doing this, even though I want to quit? And a lot of other people have quit at this point. Am I going to be one of those that just keeps going and digs a little bit deeper? Okay, so I think it's just kind of one of those, again, I think the power in just our everyday life is in the consistent, small, daily, consistent habits. But I think this last chapter was just that little bit of extra to just motivate that, like, when you want to quit, like, let's dig deeper and just keep at it, because that's where you're really going to set yourself apart from the crowd. Okay, beat the expectations. Okay, so just coming back to then some of these focusing questions. If you continue this new habit that you've been kind of writing about today, if you continue this new habit for the next 5 years, what result will that create in your life? What's that, Minling?
5 years is a long time.
Okay, 1 year. We can just do 1 year. I know sometimes it is a little bit harder to take that big of a chunk. 1 year, let's say 1 year. What's the result that it will create in your life? I think taking time to imagine that and using our imagination to really visualize these results that we want. I was watching a show. It was the show Survivor. I don't know if you guys know that reality show Survivor. It's a show that my kids and I like to watch, but there was a contestant on it. They start out with like 25 people, and if you're the last survivor, then you win $1 million. Okay. So, they were interviewing one of the contestants, and he was talking about how he had visualized these moments within the game, very clearly had seen these specific moments that he wanted to, get to, these checkpoints along the way of his journey through this game. And it really emphasized to me the power of visualization, power of really seeing beforehand. And I think to me, that's faith. It's faith. It's seeing something. It's being able to see something kind of like with our spiritual eyes before it actually takes place, before it actually is. And so being able to just visualize and kind of have that faith that something will be, and creating it spiritually before we create it physically, is a really powerful concept. And taking that time to say, what is the result that I'm wanting to create in my life, and visualizing that and what it's going to feel like, what it's going to look like, what it's going to be like for me. Who am I going to be in that place? really can kind of help paint the picture of just being like, oh yeah, that's where I'm going. So that when it gets hard, when we're having a hard time kind of doing that, that action, that daily action, being able to come back to that visualization of like, oh yeah, as I do this consistently, here's what I'm creating.
For me,
Very,
it
very
would be a motivation.
Oh, good. So you're finding that good. Okay. Min Ling, so we, through the course of this book club, you've been trying to kind of like, what is going to actually motivate me to do this? That's good that you've landed on that a little bit more. Good. Okay. And then asking yourself, is this result worth the effort to start your new habit? If it's not, then let's not even start it. It's not that big of a deal, right? But if it really truly is, if we're able to paint a picture of something we really truly want in our lives and what it's going to create for us in our lives, and it's like, oh yeah, I can't wait to start this new habit. That motivation then comes. All right. What is your key takeaway? I would love to hear from all of you. I'm going to bring it back to just our group here. I would love to hear from you, just kind of what you're pulling from this. What is it that's going to be your key takeaway, your action item where you're going to go away from this and do and apply from this discussion today? Min Ling, you want to go first?
I found the motivation and I started it with the exercise, I hope.
Yeah, good. Okay. So finding that motivation and discovering that motivation. Good. All right, Amadou.
For me, it's the starting point. Like before going to the highway, you have to go through the traffic and something. And once you are in the highway, nobody can stop you. So before going to the highway, it's important to visualize a goal, because this is what is going to motivate you to take action. And I was talking about this YouTube video. It's important, like, instead of thinking the whole thing, like try to break down everything in order to know what is your first action. And the most important for me is to schedule it. As long as I schedule what I'm going to do, it's going to be easy.
Awesome. Good strategy. Excellent. Good. Arasu, do you have a key takeaway from today?
Absolutely. I really loved Amadou's point, and especially the traffic before you hit the highway.
Yeah.
So when you
That's
start the
great.
habit, there'll be lots of bumps and for too many reasons, and you are part of the reason as well. But once you clear things off, the compound effect started picking up. You are in the highway or much better. Still, there could be traffic and all. It's a really excellent point. For me, again, like I said, I listened to the book or read the book, listened to it and all. But again, applying is where, as you said. But again, I am applying a few things. The aha for today's discussion is the stacking of the habits. For example, one key habit is like my family communication with my family, my wife, my daughters. If I don't pay attention to that and make it a habit of listening to them or doing the family chores, as I was I say I have a meeting here. I'm into many things.
Yeah.
But if I am doing that, I establishing that habit, but it helps me in forming another habit of scheduling my day, because they understand and the communication is better. And once the family communication is good, my scheduling is good, I can go to the next habit. So this stacking is kind of like backwind, and that definitely is one of the component which makes things easy as you go. But again, you cannot break yourself. I think the sixth acceleration, I understand when everybody is giving up, you go a little extra, but that's where you have to be careful. Some people might want to break it down, but we want to keep us intact. We don't want to live. I don't want to die. So that little extra push, I myself feel that sometimes I feel very uncomfortable to go for even a treadmill walk. But if I push myself, the results are there.
Yeah.
And after a few weeks, I am in a better shape to do that a bit easier. So the stacking the habit is really a powerful.
Wonderful. Love that. Chondan, how about you?
You're mute.
Yeah, you might have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi everyone. I'm sorry, I was like a little mess up here. That's why I couldn't join. I love to, but take away lots of them. But I would say that getting aware of what is a good, notice of good habit and bad habit. So then a way we can know where this good habit or bad habit is leading you, maybe by the next or 1 year or 2 year, right? That's what I was thinking. Then I was also thinking about the changing how to change your bad habit, whatever bad habit you have, how you can change it, like identifying your triggers and clean your house, or you can just just go easy on it, or just jump right in. Because what I used to do, I used to work a little hard, will be very hard working guy, like just maybe like two weeks, I'll be like consistently, reading books and all stuff. Then I do have bad habits earlier. Then I go into autopilot. And I'll not know what I'm doing, but my time is passing so fast. But in end of the day, I've not learned anything. So it's my bad habits is taking me back. So then it's just like I need to jump. What I do is just I jump right in. Sometimes I need to stop. Okay, where I'm going, I'm not doing. I'm not learning anything. I'm into I'm in square one now. So I'm just thinking, just jump right in there and start reading books and start coming to this live, class we have. So it's more actually. And I like about the, grandmas, grandparents, the, this one old school habits, what they have, like working hard and just stay in discipline and good habits, whatever we have. So these are good things, we can build compound effect, and then we can see changes, and maybe
absolutely. Good. You were listening very well during the
listening, but I'm just I'm getting calls from some of the interviews and I just mess up.
That's right. I think this is a beautiful example of just when you show up, even though you want it to be perfect, you want to be able to sit down and you want to be able to have complete focus and no other distractions and everything. That would be the ideal, right? But is it ever ideal? Our lives are never ideal. We're always dealing with the distractions, the crazy. And when we can say, you know what, this actually is the normal. This is okay for us to show up, even if I'm just showing up 80%. Or, whatever, it's better than zero. It's better than zero. And so what I can do, I'm going to do, even if it's imperfect. And I love that mentality, because then it does allow room for imperfection. It allows room for just life and the crazy and the chaos that comes with life when we give ourselves that compassion. So, yeah.
I'm waiting for this big move that, that moment. I'm looking for that momentum, because right now we are just starting, right? And it will take time to build our habits. Sometimes we don't read 1 day or 2 days. It takes us back, we go back into our old habits. It's really hard, because if once we are in momentum, we are doing it every single day, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or maybe 6 months or 1 year. And we got momentum, we just will love to do that, love to read books, and love, because we have big visions out there. Okay, if I become very good in English, where I can do this, I can do that, I can get promoted in my work, I can make YouTube where I can just get more audience and all stuff. So I'm just thinking a lot, but then it takes lots of time for me, just getting there.
Yeah, but you're doing it one step at a time. You're doing it. So good for you.
even this Atomic Habit, right? Where he also mentioned that environment discipline.
Mm-hmm.
That I would just want to know a little bit, like environment discipline, how you can build environment discipline.
Involvement discipline?
Environment.
Environment. Okay, so get that long I. Environment discipline. Yeah, I can't remember that specific part in the book, but.
Just because he was like trying, because, suppose if I have a bad friends, because my like, like mess up there, I start drinking with them, I start going party with them. So the whatever I have habit which I've built, and now I'm just going along with them, I'm just adapting their habits. So I just I'm not sure exactly in this.
Right. So those influences, the environment that we put ourselves in, the people that we surround ourselves with are going to heavily influence whether we are continuing good habits or continuing bad habits or establishing good or bad habits. And so getting very aware of this environment, these people that we're surrounding ourselves with, is a deliberate strategy to creating this compound effect. So if it's like, you know what, this friend is actually not a great influence on me, I'm going to limit the time that I'm with that person. And I'm going to look for friends who are actively engaged. Like right now, you're engaging with people who are learning and growing and developing. So you're creating an environment for yourself right now of personal development, things that are going to motivate you to do better. Okay. So that's, that is a strategy of part of doing these book clubs is I want to gather like-minded people who are trying to push themselves and grow, and that energy that you get from other people is going to help motivate that. Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Let's see. Oscar, are you in a place to be able to share kind of some takeaways? I know you said you were going to be listening only, so I'll just, maybe it won't. Okay. And then Dragos, I don't know if you're in an environment to share. Okay. So Zaid, let's go ahead and finish it up with you.
Yes, Annie. So actually these two books regarding the Atomic Habit and the compound effect is actually inspired me. And for sure, they give me the equipment and keys to how make habits and how how we get this advantage it's already started affecting my work, either with my business or with my family or other things actually. So it was something great.
Good. So we're already applying it. We're already creating that little bit, a little bit better.
I'm using all the ideas and examples also. It was something great. So it was really useful, and still I'm working on that. This is it's become my reference to use it all the time.
Good.
Good.
So you're kind of
with the family.
Yeah, you're bringing in other people into these concepts and ideas and sharing them so that then they are applying them, and then it helps hold you accountable. And that's a really great way to do it. And I want to recognize that all of you are already putting into effect these things. The fact that you're here today, that you've engaged in this conversation, that you've participated in this, that you're going through the Pronunciation Pro course, that you're taking these steps, like all of you you're taking action on these things. So really give yourself credit for what you're doing, and be proud of yourself for what you're doing. Because I think high achievers like you all are tend to kind of look at where you're not, you're kind of falling short, or you're not doing some things. But I think that, but you have to recognize that you are doing quite a bit. And just the fact that you're striving for more shows that determination to improve. So that's a quality that you have, that character that you have. Okay.
One comment before we go is that I guess all of you guys who are in this meeting can share their thoughts, continue to share their thoughts in the Facebook Pronunciation Pro Facebook as one suggestion. The second suggestion is possible because we read a book and forget it, like Atomic Habits. I forgot it until you reminded me. And of course, Atomic Habit and a Compound Effect go hand in hand. There's lots of overlap also. So if it is okay, if you guys can like a short meeting after 2 weeks or something like that. So hey, what did you follow it up, or we all forgot all about it? Are you applying to listen to Pronunciation Pro recordings? What do you do with Pronunciation Pro as well as something else? That kind of a thing also would help. One final point I would like to make is things are getting, it's the power of social media. There's so many millions of YouTubes and channels which are available. You can talk to anybody with WhatsApp free of cost. So these things are accelerated, and the abundance of distractions so easy compared to like even 20 years back. So this is a huge challenge. So unless like book clubs or organizations like Pronunciation Pro and people who come here, I think can do more in continuing, do something also a little extra here to use those kind of social media and all those things, which are actually powerful tools, very powerful tools, but they're easy to distract us. So I think we have to do something extra like Compound Effect, or really to even survive as things go by. You are so kind in saying that we are all high achievers. Hopefully will be. But so to even subvert, to avoid all these distractions, we have to put together programs like that, like Compound Effect. So think about it, and I request people to post their thoughts, continue to post their thoughts on Facebook, at least one post a week, something like that.
Good. Yeah. And that's interesting that you bring that up, because with my assistant just this week, we were talking about how can we use that Facebook group in a more effective way that really helps bring this community together and to be able to engage people and to hold people accountable, like have that accountability and that community more. So we're going to be doing more. So definitely make sure that you're part of that group and that you're following that group so that we can.
You're talking about the meeting room? Is it meeting room, Facebook meeting
So it's
room?
the Facebook group. So it's just for paid members. I have a main Pronunciation Pro page, and then we have the private group for members only. So the members only group is something that we're going to be kind of working on. How can we kind of engage a little bit more? It would help so much for all of you to kind of chime in and even just post, hey, how's everybody doing with their, their goals for the compound, or their habits with the Compound Effect, or even for those who haven't been here, it's just like, we talked about establishing habits. Here's what I'm doing. What are some habits that you're creating? That voice and that leadership that you guys can all take on too can be very helpful in creating that community, so that it's not just me communicating, but it becomes more of the, your voices are a part of that as well. So yeah, we would love to get more engagement there. I think it's a wonderful practice in our community to speak up and even just post, because sometimes for a lot of people takes a lot of courage. That takes a lot to write in English, or to post in English, or to engage in that conversation in English. And so we want to create as much as possible for everyone to get more practice, to step out of their comfort zone in whatever way that is. So yeah, let's engage a little bit more there. The one thing that I was going to share before we close today is just that for the next one, I am going to do another book club meeting December 30th. So it's going to be like right there after Christmas, before the New Year's, or after kind of in that holiday time, because I do feel like this tends to be a time of thinking about goals and goal setting and what do we want for that new year. And I don't know how you all feel about that, but I still love the new year and goal setting for a new year and looking at what I want the next year to be. And I don't know if you have suggestions of a specific book about goal setting that we want to do, or some strategy or something along the lines of goal setting, and getting clear, maybe just even a workshop of getting clear of like, what does 2022 look like for you? And what do we want that to be?
Applying like what Atomic Habit and Compound Effect, what you just taught today, will just come back and continue like, hey, this is what I've been doing, and sharing how we are applying it and how we are going to apply in 2022.
Yeah.
That would be, rather than introducing a new book, that'll be more powerful, I thought.
Okay. And maybe we can kind of bring in some, maybe it's just like a TED Talk of some sort that just kind of talks about goal setting to get us in that mindset, or I'll do a little bit of research, but, you know, just getting us into that mindset at that time of the year, and setting us up for, and let's use that as like a workshop of just like, okay, we're going to use this time. I'll kind of have a format of, we can, like we were doing today, kind of some exercises that help you kind of then sit down and focus of like, what do I want for this next year? And why do I want it? And what's the, you know, taking big goals and breaking them down. We can do a lot to kind of play around with this concept of getting ready for 2022. Okay. How does that sound for everyone? Is everybody?
It's a great idea.
Excuse me.
What we want to do?
This one is awesome.
Okay, good. Good. Then let's do it.
Like, everyone is waiting, you know, they just want to do something new. They want to reset their goals.
Yeah. I like that time of year because it's fun to just then take some time to reflect, to think, to review, and to start off the new year strong.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a book you can consider it for like in the future. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if it is that working with you or not. It's called The Advantage for Patrick Lencioni.
Here, go ahead and write it.
Advantage.
The Advantage.
The Advantage. Yeah. For Patrick Lencioni. I'm gonna write down in the chat box.
Perfect. Okay, I love book ideas. Yeah, and this, I think that even for me and what we want to do come the new year with Pronunciation Pro and live trainings and, you know, how we want to engage the community, I think for me, the goal setting for the new year is going to be really around that of like, what do we want our community to do, and what do we want to be learning, and how do we want to be applying these things? So having your input and having your suggestions through that will be really helpful as we move forward. All right. So we'll plan on that. And of course, in the meantime, we have all the study groups and we have all of the Confident Pro Mindset trainings. I have that coming up next Thursday. We'll dive more into the mindset and confidence. And so as you are available and want to participate in that, we'll be here. All right. Thank you everyone for coming and participating and adding your voice to our community. This is wonderful.
All right. Thank you, Annie. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a great rest of your day.